My goodness. Paul, I guess you think I made the right decision, the right choice? Yeah, I know I did. This is our second day on the campaign trail together. This is another big step to restore the promise of America. People ask me why I chose Paul Ryan. The answer is I wanted someone who was a leader. Leadership comes from character. This is a man who has real character, who loves America, who has passion for America, who understands what it takes to get America on the right track. And this leader is going to help get America strong. Now, I know when most people go to Washington, D.C., they go filled with ambition. He had a different career in mind when he was thinking of running for office, and yet he decided that America needed to have someone who would go to Washington not thinking about how he could beat up on other people and throw brickbats at them, but instead someone who would go there to make a real difference. And this is a man who recognizes that people who have differences of opinion, if they're honest, those differences can also be honest. And so he reached across the aisle. He worked with people in the Democratic Party. He did so with dignity and respect. And as a result, he's a man who in Washington is liked, is recognized, is acknowledged, is admired, is seen as an intellectual leader, and he is respected. As Vice President of the United States, this man will be respected by people across the nation and across the world. This is a critical time. You know this is a critical time for the country. You're here tonight to celebrate the selection of an extraordinary guy to be our nominee for Vice President. But you also know this is a time of great seriousness for the nation. We have 23 million people out of work. 23 million people. You see, young man, this group here is respectful of other people's rights to be heard. And you want to find yourself a different place to be disruptive, because here we believe in listening to people with dignity and respect. Look, there's no question but that if you follow the campaign of Barack Obama, he's going to do everything in his power to make this the lowest, meanest, negative campaign in history. We're not going to let that happen. This is going to be a campaign about ideas, about the future of America. This is a campaign about greatness, about America's future for your children, for the world. Mr. President, take your campaign out of the gutter. Let's talk about the real issues that America faces. People in America are hurting right now. The middle class is struggling right now. Incomes have dropped by $4,000 per family under this president. Healthcare premiums have gone up by $2,500. Utility costs are up. Gasoline prices are up. People are having a hard time. They want to know if America's going to come back. It is, if it gets new leadership. I'm going to do 5 things. Paul Ryan and I, we're going to work together to get 5 things done that'll get our economy roaring back. Number 1, we're going to take advantage of our energy resources, our wind, our solar, as well as nuclear, oil, gas, coal. Number 2, we're going to make sure that our kids and our workers have the skills they need to succeed. And by the way, we're going to put work back into welfare. Number 3, we're going to have trade that works for America, and that means we're going to open up new markets for our goods, but it means when people cheat like China has, there will be consequences. Number 4, we're going to do something that Paul has been fighting to do for years now. When we have Republicans in the House and Senate, when we have the White House, we're going to finally cut federal spending, stop the borrowing, and get America on track to a balanced budget. And number 5, we're going to champion small business. We're going to help small businesses grow and thrive. I couldn't believe it the other day when I saw that quote that Paul just mentioned of the presidents in Virginia. I couldn't believe he actually said that. You heard what he said. If you have a business, you didn't build it, someone else did that. And then he said, it's not fair, you took me out of context. Go on YouTube, by the way, and read the context, and you'll find the context is worse than the quote, all right? He says in there, you know, if you've been successful, why, you may think it's because you're smart, but there are a lot of smart people. And you may think it's because you're working hard, but there are a lot of people who work hard. I couldn't figure out where he was going with this, because, you see, in this country, we welcome and celebrate people who reach, who dream, who aspire, who achieve. That's the nature of how America works. When the guy or gal comes home from the factory and says, you know what, I took that class at the community college, I got some more skills, I just got a promotion, we celebrate that. We acknowledge what they accomplished. When the kid comes home and says, I made the honor roll, and we know how hard they worked, we say, we celebrate that child's achievement. We say, way to go, you made that happen. Now I know that for them to make the honor roll, they had to ride on a bus to get to school, and there was a bus driver, but if the kid gets the honor roll, he or she gets the credit, not the bus driver. This country's going to come roaring back. We do those 5 things with real leadership, and you're going to see America's economy come back and create great jobs, more take-home pay. You're going to be convinced that the future's brighter for your children than even what we've enjoyed. And I know that because I've seen the spirit of America across this land. One thing that gives me perhaps the greatest confidence in our future is that there lies within the heart of the American people, Republican, Democrat, Independent, men and women, people from cities or the suburbs or rural communities. There lies in our heart a patriotism and a conviction that America is an exceptional nation and a great nation. Ann leaned over to me as Paul was speaking. We were all moved, by the way, at the welcome you gave him. We were touched, and tears filled my eyes. I looked at Ann, tears were in her eyes, and I know Paul, Jana felt the same way. You guys are just amazing. I'm not sure about the kids, but the rest of us felt pretty emotional. And I just thought back to a time when I understood one more time just how deep the passion is for this country. And this was at the end of another Olympics. You see, we're just ending the London Olympics. The games have been spectacular to watch. Hopefully you've had the chance to see some of those athletes, their courage and determination. At the end of our games in 2002, I invited a young man to come in and sit with Vice President Cheney to represent all the athletes of America. And I chose a young fella named Derek Parra. Derek's about 5'4", born in Los Angeles, Hispanic American. And he was a rollerblader in Los Angeles. And his friend said to him, you know, if you ever want to get in the Olympics, you got to pick up another sport. There's no rollerblading in the Olympics. And so he tried on ice skates and went to the local skating club, and he was fast. I guess the rollerblading translates pretty well. This guy skates his heart out, trains and trains, ends up beating a lot of big fellows, I'm sure, from Michigan, where I came from, Wisconsin, Minnesota, becomes a member of the United States speed skating team, long track. Bonnie Blair, boy, isn't she the best? Anyway, he's long track, though, and so he comes out to Salt Lake City, skates his heart out. 5,000 meters, he gets the silver medal. 1,500 meters, he gets the gold medal. Fastest man on earth on skates. And so I invited him to sit with the vice president. And as he came in, I said, Derek, what was the most meaningful experience in your Olympic Games? And he said, carrying in the flag that had flown above the World Trade Center on September 11, 2001 into the opening ceremonies. He was one of the 8 athletes that was selected to carry in that flag. It's about 8 by 12 feet, and it's torn and burned, and it can't be put up a flagpole, so you got to bring it in horizontally. So he carried it in, and he said, as we brought it into the stadium, some 55,000 people, we expected that when it was announced, they'd burst into cheers, but instead, total silence, complete reverence. And he said, we carried the flag and stopped in front of the choir, and they began performing the national anthem. And he said, Mitt, it was hard to hold on to my emotion as they were singing those words, and I was holding that flag. And then he said, the choir did something I hadn't expected. Now, I knew it was coming because I was the guy in charge of the Olympics, and I picked the version of the national anthem they sang. And it was an old 1930s version by Robert Shaw, where you repeat the second line, or that last line rather, you repeat it as a reprise. The sopranos go up an octave, much greater orchestration. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave. And he said this time as they sang it, a gust of wind blew in the flag and lifted it in their hands. And he said, for me, it was as if the spirits of all those that had fought and died for American liberty had just blown into that flag. And he said, tears began to run down my face. And as he just told me that story, tears filled my eyes. We love this country. We know it's an exceptional land. We understand that when the founders wrote those words that said that the Creator endowed us with our rights, that they were right. That among those rights are life and liberty and the pursuit of happiness. We're a nation given those freedoms. We share them with people around the world. This is the greatest nation the world has seen, in part because of that extraordinary beginning, that idea, as Paul said. We are not going to change America into something we don't recognize. We're going to restore to America the principles that made America the hope of the earth. We're going to do everything in our power to keep America strong in our homes, in our economy, in our military, second to none. This nation has a mission to perform. We're going to make it happen. We're going to keep America the shining city on the hill. You're going to help us win the White House in November. We're counting on Wisconsin. Let's get it done. Thanks, you guys. Thank you.